opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Team Shit Show 2.0. And tonight with me, I have two special friends of mine that I met on X. I got Chris and Dawn, and they're going to talk about some interesting things that they found while they were researching themselves. Basically, they're their own lab tests after they received a vaccination. I could say that, I guess. And they are researching themselves to try to find a homeopathic way to clear their body's blood, basically. I'm not a scientist or anything like that, and I don't understand a lot of the terminologies. What? Did I freeze up? Sorry. But the thing is, plus I'm in Hillbillyville, so my service might not be the best. But this is Chris. So hello, Chris, and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about, and Dawn, introduce yourselves and then tell a little bit about what you're working on, and then we can dig into it.
All right. I'm Chris Moore, and I've got a medical background and a research background, and I had been given the task of researching all this COVID stuff way back in 2019 by my father. He was still alive at the time, and he was a 2-star general and, big military medical career. And he put me on looking into this, and there was a lot going on with it. I finally met Dawn in February this year and got with her, and she had been testing a lot of things on some of the infestations and symptoms that come from the COVID, long COVID or COVID vax injury. So we've been working on it. We've been to Congress, we've been to the military, and we've just really tried hard to get all the information that we could into the hands of people so they could make choices and do something about some of the symptomology going on. So that's pretty much where we are now. And the discovery's coming in really fast, and they're talking about a lot more of it in public now. So it's a really good thing. A lot of great people helping out throughout this entire thing. I couldn't even list them all. It's amazing.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's really good because there's so many people to have other people going through the same symptoms and problems, to have someone else to talk to, that so they don't feel like, wow, I'm the only one on the planet that is having these problems. It's nice to meet other people and be able to talk to them about their symptoms, and have someone else be able to have the same symptoms and say, hey, what are you doing about it? And have someone that actually listens and has been through it. I got an echo.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
it's
sorry.
Okay. But I'm gonna before you start talking, Dawn, I want to see who's in the chat real quick and say hi to them. Hey, Six Nations, thank you for stopping in, whether they're in Rumble or X or here on YouTube. That's great. But LBJ, I think he's sitting in here with us right now. But I'm going to say hi to Snorterpoopus. Hi, Snorterpoopus. It's nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Thank you for joining us tonight. And hi, Soy Boyce Jeremy. Thank you. Low Spec, thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you can get some good information. Hi, Papa Cotton. Thank you for joining us tonight. And share it with people so that they will know that there's somebody out here that's working on their own symptoms and trying to find a way to fix it. So hopefully you guys won't feel like you're out in the cold. But hey, hi, baby girl. Thank you for joining us tonight. And hi, everybody over on Rumble. It's nice that you dropped in on us. And X, thank you so much. But go ahead, Dawn, and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you came about looking into all this stuff.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dawn Solomon. I'm actually from Colorado, but I just moved to Texas. I was sick. I got 2 COVID shots. I didn't know that it was COVID related, but I did get sick. I had precancer, and I was getting my cancer cut out, and I still felt sick when I got home. So something told me to go buy a microscope, probably because my mom had blood cancer at the time, and so I thought maybe I had her blood cancer, her rare blood cancer. So I went and bought a microscope, and I just started doing a bunch of research. And during that, I realized that me, my sister, my mom, my grandkids, we all had this same blood, the little parasites that were running off the side. And I'm like, okay, something's not right here. So during that whole time I started doing the research, I heard this little voice tell me I was born to expose this. And I'm like, okay, where did that come from? And I thought I was losing my mind at first, but I didn't know what this was at the time. I didn't know it was COVID. I didn't know where I was going with this journey or the spiritual side of it all, but it led me down a path that has been very, very educating, very troubling, only because I was so uneducated that I didn't have a clue of what I was doing yet. I had to Google how to work a microscope. So I had a lot of learning to do to find out where and get to where I am today with it. But I got lucky in some of this too. And I was able to actually save myself because none of the doctors were helping me. So when I would take the stuff to the doctor and ask her, what is this? She would say, I don't know. And I'm like, well, this is killing me. So we need to find somebody that does know. And she couldn't find anybody that knew. So I had to find a way to cure myself. And that's what I started doing, was finding stuff that worked and then testing it in the microscope to make sure that it worked. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was all right. I was just saying, well, it's nice to get to talk to someone that actually thought about, hey, I'm going to look at my own blood under a microscope. I mean, you just don't meet people that are that do that. I mean, I think I'm pretty smart, but I have had allergies for years. I never would have thought of that, you know? So for whatever reason you did it, I'm thankful that you're able to do that and figure out some of the things that you've already explained to me that you've been able to do, because to me, that's a miracle in itself. I mean, I know it may not sound like a miracle to you, but to people like me that would never even thought about it, you know what I mean? To spend the time that you've taken to take your own blood and look at it under a microscope and compare it to other people's blood that you found online and in books and things like that, right? And that's how you figured out that what each thing was that was in there and everything, because a lot of people would have no idea.
Right.
That's
like
why
I had to learn
awesome.
what the yellow rings were around the blood. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I don't understand where our scientists are right now, because yellow rings around the blood is usually a parasite. So, but they went with it as a virus for the spike protein in COVID. So I was like, that doesn't make sense. But a lot of it didn't make sense when I started researching it, and it didn't add up. All right. And that's when I started saying, okay, like I can't be the only girl that has found this. I mean, we have scientists that have very educated and very high tech equipment, right? That should be finding this, not a girl in her room, in her bedroom with a microscope, should be the one finding this and exposing this to the world. But here we sit, right? So, but it scared me because I'm thinking, am I seeing something that nobody else is? I even went and did a mental eval. And then I also had a lady do a live blood reading of my own, just to make sure that what I was seeing was what I was seeing, because I didn't want to be like labeled as crazy or anything like that. And I was seeing what I was seeing. She labeled me as severely infested. I had 17 worms per drop of a blood out of my finger. So she said to me, and this is exactly how she said it. She goes, there's 17 worms in one drop. She goes, now think of how many are running through your body right now. And she goes, and I don't know if we're going to be able to save you. She goes, that's how badly you're infested. But when I was going to the hospital and stuff, they're all saying I don't have any parasites. All right. So I was passing every test under the sun.
And the hospital did blood tests. The hospital did blood tests on you. You said there was nothing.
We did stool. We did
and
stool.
they said
everything.
nothing.
They even locked me in a mental ward. Nothing. I
That's
had nothing.
terrible.
Okay?
So when you first took your own blood and you were looking at it under the microscope, what was it, the first thing that you noticed in it that you knew had to be something that didn't belong there?
Okay.
I can't hear you. You went mute. There you go.
Okay. I'll send you that picture really quick because it's actually a video. And I called my sister into the room and I'm like, sis, look at this. Look at this. And it was a worm and it had its little arms. Okay. And then it had a ring in the middle of it. And then on the other
Mm-hmm.
end was the same worm. So it had, two heads. And I went back to thinking about what Dr. Artist said, that it's a crepe, the crepe snake and then the python or the king cobra. And I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
they mixed the snakes together. That's what I was thinking at first when I first seen it, because it's two snakes at each end. So I'm thinking, holy crap, these are snakes in our bodies, worms or whatever. But it had like this metal ring in the middle of it. And I was like, what is that ring about? So this is how naive I was and how gullible I was. I said, sis, we all have this in our blood, but we're all from different homes. Like my daughter and them didn't get the vaccination. They didn't get COVID. I had the vaccination and COVID. So I was like, what are we all doing that's the same? So I was like, it's in the water. All right. So I was like, let's go buy a COVID test. So we go and buy the actual COVID test and we test it and it's negative. I'm like, oh, yep, it's not in the water. And then my sister tells me, she's in the shower. She goes, I heard a voice. She goes, they said test the water with the ivermectin and stuff in it. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. It has to have a host. So I put it in the microscope and oh my God, it lights up like the 4th of July. Okay, I seen every single one of them in there, and what it was looking like circles, so it looked like air bubbles. Like I was like, oh, that's just a bunch of air bubbles, until they started unfolding. Right when they started unfolding, I was like, oh, wait a minute, those aren't air bubbles; those are actually the worms. All right, and I was like, oh my gosh. Then I thought it was schistosomosis at first. So I was like, it's schistosomosis. We went down this rabbit hole of what it could be every day, and was wrong all the time. I was like, great. So I went into the doctors telling me it's schistosomosis, everything. Yes, it was crazy, right? But it was a learning experience. Like I had a lot to learn, and like still today, I don't have all the answers, and I probably won't have all the answers, but I have a pretty damn good idea of what's going on. A lot better one than I did, a year ago or 6 months ago. So, and Chris has been really great on educating
did you
me on
ever
some of the
take?
stuff I didn't know.
Yeah, but did you ever take ivermectin?
Okay, I did use ivermectin. I used the pig form one though, because you can't get the pills anywhere. And so I used the pig liquid one, but I also tested it in the microscope. And this is what I found, okay, is that you put the ivermectin on there, they fall off, okay, they for like 20 minutes. But then they'll go back on in 20 minutes and start feeding on the red blood cells again. So I think it just puts them to sleep. And then it does, the white blood cells come out because they get trapped, your white blood cells do. So they come undone for at least 20 minutes. And that's where I think people's getting relief. So they keep using it, but they have to keep using it because it's not killing them 100%, because they wake up after 20 minutes. I think it puts them to sleep.
I was going to ask the question, was this, the ivermectin medicine, is it made by the same pharmaceutical company that made the other stuff for, that they were, like for flu vaccines and things like that, or not?
Hey, Janet, let me jump in a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So through Dr. Campbell, my friend who's in the UK, he had a doctor come on to his show who spoke during the show, said that they gave 5 billion doses of ivermectin in Africa because that's what they treat scabies with.
Yeah.
Those people were not infected. None of them got infected. So the ivermectin isn't so much a treatment as it is a preventative cure. In other words, if you're on it and susceptible, it's highly likely that you won't get it. But once you get it, it doesn't have the same stopping power.
Oh, okay. Okay. See, I never had COVID, and so I've never had to take it. But one of my sisters has lupus, and she takes ivermectin and something else. I don't know what the other thing is. And plus, she has asthma since she was a kid, and she uses the nebulizer and a few other little things like that. And she's never had COVID. So, and then I've had some other friends that I talked to. Some other friends that I was talking to smoked, and they said they never got COVID. Sorry.
What ivermectin does in the body, Janet, is that it increases your interferon production. And people who had a natural high interferon were pretty defendable against the disease.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, because I just
Yeah, it
remember
blocked it.
a lot about different things and how some people were getting sick and others weren't. Because I was around people that had COVID, and I wash my hands a lot because I have allergies, and if I get somebody's lotion on me or different things, I don't know what is going to cause me to start itching really bad, or my eyes swell shut. If I'm even in a room with a cat, after 10 minutes, my eyes almost completely swell shut. So it's like, so I'm used to
Right.
washing my hands constantly. I carry eye drops and itch cream, and my EpiPen in my purse. So I got a first aid kit walking around with me. So maybe that might be one reason why I never got it too, because I'm just always using something on my hands or whatever to clean myself up because I'm afraid I'm gonna get an allergy. So or it could be my immune system. Like I was telling you before, I used to give platelets, because they said I had a really high platelet count, and I used to give blood. I have, I'm really good. Blood. My type of blood is O positive. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know enough about any of it to even put myself in there. But I was lucky that I had an allergy doctor. Okay, because I was getting shots. I had done it for 5 years the first time, and then I moved. And when I moved to another state, which was Louisiana, I didn't have any problems, hardly at all. I hardly had any allergies, which was weird. But because they had cedar trees and stuff, but apparently it just wasn't as bad or something. But then when I moved back to Arkansas again, I mean, I was just sick as a dog. So I had to start doing allergy shots for the state of Arkansas. So it's like once you get the shots, you have to stay there. But I just never caught COVID, but lots of people in my family did, and they were constantly bringing me kits saying, "You stick this up your nose and test yourself." And I'm like, "No way!" But my allergy doctor said, "Don't get the shot because we don't know what's in the shot,
Right.
so you could have a reaction to it." So I did. That's the reason why I never did. And I
Now,
feel
Janet,
bad.
I don't know if it started. Right. I
Go ahead.
don't know if it started in the shots or what, but now that it's in our water, it's a major concern. So if they
Mhm.
weren't able to cure it in us, okay, and we're going to the bathroom, we're recycling our water, it's in our water now. Okay, so
Mhm.
people that have not gotten the shot or anything like that are getting transmitted through the water now. So when
Mhm.
I look at the water, I was able to clean my blood with some meds that I took that got rid of everything out of my blood. It was 100% like no yellow, no black in my blood. It was just gorgeous blood. They were pink, I mean, floating through there slow, big ones. And all of a sudden, 3 days later, and I had that, the pink blood for 3 days. I got in the water and without power washing my porch, came back inside, and within 6 hours, they were all back wrapped around every single one of my red blood cells. All right, so it got into my body that fast and infected all my
Mhm.
blood cells again. And now I was like, okay, I don't have all those pills again. Now what am I gonna do, right? So I start researching some more. But yeah, so I was able to take 10 pills and eliminate them all at once. Those 10 pills are being with the lawyer right now and about to come out. Okay, they're about to come out as the cure, and we're just waiting on the lawyer. And like I think I sent you one of the pictures of the bottle of what it's going
Okay.
to
Well,
look like.
let me go look at
It
that
says the
really
COVID
quick. Be
on
right
it.
back. Mhm.
Okay, all
Let me
right.
go all the way down to the bottom.
And those are going to be a mixture of pharmaceutical and over the counter meds. But if you take all 10 of those together, it eliminates it from your body like immediately.
So you
It
want me
was
to start
pretty
with
awesome.
okay, I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to click on it and I'll
Okay.
open this and show it to everybody in the chat real quick. Right here. So this is the first one that you sent me.
Let me see.
Can you see it? It says COVID cure.
Not yet, but I will be able to hear in a second.
Okay.
Is it a pill bottle?
Yes,
Mine's taking a little time to pull up. Sorry.
that's fine. But it says COVID cure is a medicated blend of 9 essential ingredients in pill form. The small, easy
Yeah.
to swallow pills are
Yep.
scientifically proven to remove COVID-19 cells from the patient's bloodstream. So, yeah, so that's one of the pictures. I'm going to stop sharing that and then I'm going to go to the next
Yeah.
picture.
That's one of the ones that's been with my lawyer. that's been with the lawyer for how long now? About a year or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been set on this very quietly for a year with that meds. Okay,
Yeah, and
so
I
a
know
whole
that's
completely
I
different
know
set of
that's
meds than the
really
ones that we found.
We weren't
yeah,
super quiet. We were
I know
kicking
that's
doors
really
in.
hard for you to do. And here's another one. It says Bio
But I also
RX.
found another way. I can't hear.
Mhm. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
now I can.
Okay, I'm showing a picture, and it says the second picture that you sent me, Bio RXIV. And it's
Okay.
talking about colonists of
I think
human
that was just an
microbes.
article.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Okay, that was a
Okay.
research paper done, and it was turned in on the 2024, and it's talking about the RNA circles, the circles that I'm seeing in the water. Okay, the circles I see in
Mm-hmm.
the water are the same circles that's around every single one of our red blood cells.
Yeah.
And then the rod structures are the worm things that I see in our body. Okay, so when people are talking about the fibrin clots and they say that they're not alive, they're wrong. I'm telling everybody right now, they are wrong. Those things are alive. I have so
Okay.
many
Well, I'm
pictures and so
sharing
many
the.
evidence that says that.
Sorry, I'm sharing. I'm trying to share the pictures, but it takes me a little longer than you talking. That's all right. Just keep talking, and I'm just going to keep sharing pictures so they can see them.
Okay, so there's the spider silk. That's a transgenic spider spider silk, and so they've been
Mm-hmm.
putting spider silk into goats, into the goat's milk. Okay, for quite some time now. And
Mm-hmm.
there's the only difference of the proteins is a plastic. Okay, so go figure, because they said that we were having plastic in our water, right? But there's a plastic protein that's the only difference in the milk from the goats to the spider goats. Okay, so but they've been putting it in goats for a long time because they can't colonize spiders and a silkworm because they will kill each other. So they can't like
Yeah.
have a farm of them. So they're putting them in like other organisms, right? Which is totally wrong in my point of view or whatever in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they start putting them in us. Okay, that's where I draw the line. Right? When you're
Well,
putting
can
them in us
you
and without our permission, that's where I draw the line.
see the picture I have up there now? It's got like a bluish background. It looks like some kind of a worm or something, and it's Can
I
you
don't
see
see
it?
none of the pictures yet. You
Oh,
see pictures?
darn it.
Yeah, we're not getting bit.
Yeah, I know. I can look at my pictures though and see which one because I know which ones I sent you. Hold on
Yeah,
a second here.
it's like
Um,
it says October 24, 7:01 a.m. at the top, and then it has a picture. It's like light blue looking to me, and it looks like some type of worm, like a tapeworm or something. And it's got like a weird looking head with two little things like antennas sticking out of the top of it. And it says 2022 09 06 on the actual photograph. If one of you guys could look at the phone or whatever and get on X, you could see it really good on that little screen there. I'm just wondering, for sure, explain what this one is.
all right. So those were the worms that came out of me. Okay, the ones with the blue background. Those are
Uh-huh.
ones that I collected out of samples out of me. And the ones that I found on the internet, because see, I can never find one with that mouth. Okay, that mouth is a specific kind of mouth on that worm. All right, and so when
Yeah.
I found it, it was under the transgenic spider silk protein or the spider silk. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I went ahead and I took pictures of that because if they're putting them in the goats, you know that they're not gonna not cross the line and not put them in us, right? Because spider silk
Yeah.
is the strongest silk there is to make like you know bulletproof vest, all that stuff. They need those. Okay, it's
Yeah.
very very sought out material. Yeah. All right, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go to the
Chris
next
is pulling it up
picture.
now.
I'm going to go to the next picture now. And this was,
Okay.
it looks like a page on a book. and it's pictures from that. And it says on the page, it says researchers the Karolinska Institute have found that spiders have a special, and that's all I can read on this part of it. But I'm gonna share it real quick. That's the one I'm opening real quick for you to see.
Okay.
Right here. This one. You see it now?
Can you see it?
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, it'll come up. It takes us. Got to remember, there's a delay on X if you're looking at it, and I'll be bringing it up.
Down here?
Yeah.
See it now?
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
there we got
All
it.
right. All right. Now, yes, on that picture, the very top of that picture. Okay, if you look to the left, the very first image that's on there, that's the worm that looks just like the one that I took a sample of in the mouth. Okay, if you see to the right of that worm, you'll see where its mouth is, and it's exactly the same worm. It took me a long time to find that worm because there's 300 million different silk moths.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find that exact worm. So that was where I found that worm to be, and those are transgenic, right? So these are like made, and they're self-replicating, right?
So these have been made in a lab, and they make themselves. They replicate themselves over and over again.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes.
That's what I was trying to.
So
but what did you think though? Once you finally found one that looked just like yours, that came out of your body, that you took out yourself, and then you find one online, a picture of it. What did you think about that?
Well, let's back it up for just a second there, because what I did was I had a bottle of those pills that I had to send to that lawyer, right? I had that bottle, and when Chris came over to see me, we were going to I was going to show him how the pills were the cure and how it kills the sample, right? So I went and I mixed some water, and I used the tap water because before I was like, oh, this is the cure anyway, so it would kill whatever was going to be in there, right? 2 months later, I go to grab that jar because I was going to kill another parasite and test it, and I go to look inside of it, and I thought there was like mold, and I go to pop it out, and it's the silk moth and its cocoon. So right there and then I knew I had my evidence that it was silkworm that they used, because those were only made in China's lab. All right. So they're not grown out in the wild. There's no way I could have had one in a jar in my bedroom that grew and hatched out of the cure of the medicine. All right. In a jar that's stuck in my drawer for 2 months. So right then and there, I knew that it was a silkworm. I just didn't know which one yet because I didn't have it tested. And I still have it, but I just never could match it because it was so dirty. And we couldn't figure out which worm it was or which moth. So I never was able to match it up to a specific gene or nothing like that. But yeah, that's my first experience of seeing a silkworm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because that was a lot of research right there just to find one that looked like yours. And now here's the other one. It'll come up on the screen in just a second, and you can tell us what this is.
Yes.
Just give me 1 second.
That's the same, so when they're saying the fibrin clots, okay, that's kind of like what they come out like. Okay, so they're all in, and that came out of me. But that's where, that was one of them. That's the mouth opened at the end down there. There's another, they grow off little heads and they swallow each other, and it's crazy how they connect with each other, right? So they eat each other for some reason, and I learned that when I grew 3 of them in a jar and they ate each other. But so that's the mouth there that's opened up on that image that was on the silk spider protein.
Because I remember,
so that's another one of them that I was just giving a sample of.
Yeah, I remember seeing there was a documentary that came out, and the people had their faces covered and stuff because they were afraid to talk about it. And these were morticians, and they were pulling things out of bodies and saying there's some kind of gross. Some of them look like blood clots, and then others look kind of like what you got right here in this picture. They were like fibrous tissue,
like a fiber. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but some of them were big and some of them were small. They were all different sizes, but in one person. You know what I mean? So this is interesting. It all
depends on where they're at, I think.
But what was interesting is that I was asking people, and nobody could answer, was how can they find all of these in someone who's passed on, but people are giving blood and doing tests at the hospital and all that, and nobody's seeing any of these in their when they're taking blood out. These are small to begin with, so how can they not see them unless like you're not looking at it under a microscope or something?
That's what
You know
it
what I
is.
mean?
Okay, so what I learned to find out was that the only way you could see these is through a live blood smear. Okay, so if there's not a live blood smear, I don't know what happened to your camera. If it's not live blood smear, then you can't see them. All right, they're not seeing them because first of all, too, when COVID came out, nobody was going to do live blood because it's airborne. Okay, so they were not going to get nowhere near anybody's blood that's live, right? So that went out the window. So nobody's looking at it under a microscope, and that's pretty much where we really needed to be looking at it as under with a microscope because we could have learned a lot sooner that this was not a virus.
What's shocking to me is the fact that you've got millions of people, okay, that have different viruses once they know it's COVID, okay, and they're trying to come up with something to cure people, right? They got millions of people with it from all around the world, and not one person in the medical field from around the globe thought about taking their blood and looking at it under a microscope. See, that's what I just can't believe that nobody did that. Not one person.
Okay, and what also gets me, Janet, is this little next statement right here, okay? Because it says they're all mysterious blood clots. These mysterious blood clots are forming in these people, mysterious blood clots. And when I put the three things that I said that were in the silk fibrin, okay, it comes back through AI that, guess what? Those three things would cause the human body to produce fibrin clots. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not mysterious anymore because there's the documentation that proves that that's what that is, right?
Yeah. That's what's so interesting about it.
Document there, is that the document that says, yeah, it says genetic engineering silkworms could potentially be. Oh no, okay. So it's the next one of that will tell you that it can produce in the human body.
Yeah, I'll show it next. But this one,
all right.
Let me stop sharing this one.
So if they used graphene, silkworm, fibrin, and a growth factor, okay, a human growth factor or coagulating growth factor, your body will produce, the human body will produce fibrin clots.
I think it's this one.
Yeah, I think so too. Where is it circled? No, that's not it.
Which one is it? What's it say on it?
Black.
It's going to be a what?
It's going to say, it's going to be black. It'll be black with the red writing.
Oh, that's the one I had up already. Yeah, I had that one open. I'm sorry.
Another one.
Oh, it's a different one than the one I had open?
Yeah, there's two of them. They're close.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back and see if I can find that one.
All right.
I'm going through them all here.
No, sorry. I should have numbered.
Was it higher up or lower? Because I just went all the way to the bottom.
Down.
Okay, here's another one. It says Factor XI on it, the top.
Yes.
Okay, I'm opening that one next. Okay, sorry. This is what the monotonous part of it. This stuff is this.
No, that's
but
okay.
It's going to take a second. It's going to load. It'll load up. But this way, everybody can see it and zoom in on it and read it and stuff.
Right.
But it should be coming up now.
So what that says right there is in the context of silkworm fibrin. So you take the fibrin from the cocoon and the graphene interactions in the human body, the presence of the growth factor XI may influence the coagulation response and the formation of fibrin clots.
And that's an answer right there for all those people that were too afraid to speak up. They were hiding their face for what they were finding in lots of these people's bodies, but they weren't allowed to talk about it.
When I get a silkworm moth hatch in my water, in a jar, and I'm seeing this, and it's validating the fibrin clots now, I'm screaming that it's silkworm, or the spider silk pro. Yeah, so that's, it's a no-brainer to me, but I keep trying to put it out there, and I keep getting shut down or laughed at or called crazy. I don't know.
But the thing is, the fact that you were able to put it in a jar to show it to Chris when he got there, and then it had turned into a moth itself, that when you were telling me about it, that was really really creepy. I mean, I don't know what I
Netflix
would do.
1 in a million. Yeah.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
You know, I couldn't, like, who
The
would have
fact
ever
that
thought
you
the
did
moth
it,
that's research, right?
the fact that you did it is a miracle in itself, because you were meant to do that. That's what I'm saying. I really do believe that. But here's another picture. When it comes up, I want you to tell us what it is. It says image 19 on the top that you sent earlier.
So graphene. All right,
Mhm.
graphene is attracted to a light. So when I put that image, that came out of me. It's another sample. When I put that on the microscope, all this black starts go, and it looked like a honeycomb at first. I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like a bumblebee or snake skin is what I thought. Okay, I was like, snake skin.
Yeah.
I tell it, Chris. But what
Mhm.
that was the graphene. It's the carbon roll, the carbon nanoparticle or whatever. So it's attracted to the light. So when I put it up on the screen of the microscope, all that black started going down there towards it, and it was able to form to its honeycomb like.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. But the fact that you're able to get these photographs, yeah, that is amazing.
I have so many.
It's crazy pictures. Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the other one. It's right above it, and I'm gonna share this one because this one's interesting because it's an actual graph or whatever of what you were trying to show in your photograph.
Right.
Yeah, so I think this is really interesting because a lot of people don't understand it, but it looks just like the picture, the photograph, and this is something you found online to compare to what you found in your body. See?
Right. So everybody's saying that it's not graphene. You know, we ain't got graphene in our water. We ain't got graphene in our blood. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And that's what that is. And that's what's really hard. So nobody, when I put it into AI, what gets graphene out of the body, nobody had an answer for that. So nobody's been able to get graphene out of the body. So what better tool to use on us that we are not educated enough to get it out of our body? Well,
but remember when way back when they were first giving out the vaccine and people were putting magnets on their arm and it was sticking? Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, little things from the past are connecting right now to everything that you're talking about. I mean, that's your proof that only metal. If I took a magnet and stuck it to my toe, because it would stick. You know why? Because I have a screw in there from when I had bunion surgery, 10 years ago. But it wouldn't normally stick to my toe if I didn't have a metal screw in there. It wouldn't stick to bone. But if you have metal fragments under your skin and you put a magnet on it, it's going to attract to the magnet. That's common sense. Any person would understand that. A regular person.
So I have my sister. I had my sister go in front of my infrared light that was a grow light, and I put her hand down there, and you could see the little black graphene nanoparticles moving around under her skin towards the light. And you could start to see them moving, and she's feeling them, and you could see like all 8 of them just like fighting to get up to the surface to get to that light. And I was like, oh,
because they need that light to grow or to yeah, I would too. I'd be freaking out this whole thing. But you've handled it so well. I mean, you're a rock star. At least you are to me.
I'm a total mess.
Well, you're doing good. I think you're doing great. Being able to explain this and stuff.
When I found out that it was in our food too.
Yeah.
When I found out it was in our food, it just floored me. Okay. I'm sitting there. I smashed this banana. Okay. I ate it. Like, I didn't even think to look at the banana. Right. And I look down on my bed and I see this thing coiled up and I go, oh God, please don't let that be one of them. Like, please don't let that be one of them. Cause I didn't even look at that banana. Right. So I don't know if I ate any on the banana or not. Right. So I'm flipping out. I get that, pick it up, and it is one of them. I said, oh my God, I'll never eat another banana as long as I live, which I haven't, but that was out of the banana. So I'm thinking, so I get the size of that and I'm like, how long does it take for a banana to grow? Because that's how big they are in us probably right now, and I'm trying to size it up to see like how long do we got to live and how fast does these grow. And so, but yeah, that was in a banana.
You see, and that's another thing. Scary. You could get bananas from different states and other countries and compare them too to see if they're the same or if they're different ones in them, things like that. So see that these are all starting.
Yeah.
other tests that need to be done to find out where this is coming from, what origin. You know what I mean?
Water.
Well, I
Yeah,
know
water.
from the
So
water,
I
but
did
what
do that.
countries is it coming from? Which ones are coming from what country? That type of thing. These are all,
Right,
but this is
right.
the beginning. See, something you have that they can branch out on now because of all the work that
Right.
you've already
Right.
done.
And see, here's another thing. I will say this: reverse
Mhm.
osmosis and natural spring water are the two waters that I've proven to be safe so far of
Mhm.
this. Okay, and doesn't have it in
Yeah.
there, so there are options out there for us. I obviously will use those waters, and I swear by them, and I still test them all the time because I want to make sure like they haven't changed. But they haven't yet. So reverse osmosis and natural spring water are so far two safe waters. So just to let people know.
Okay. Well, here's another picture that I went up to the one above that one, and so what is
So that
this?
came out of me. That is
Mhm.
actually a piece of that is all silk. Okay. So
Mhm.
it's like its body is the silk, and then the head up there almost looks like a dragon. Okay. Now
Yeah,
when
it's
this
got
is
a
when I knew
weird
that things were
looking.
becoming a bioweapon.
Yeah, it's
Right.
very
So when you
weird.
flip
It's
that
almost
dragon
like,
over,
yeah.
when you flip that dragon over, you'll be even more surprised. There's a stick coming out of its mouth, and there's a bat that hangs upside down underneath that dragon's side on the other side. So that was kind of crazy. That's when I started noticing that we're dealing with something more than just a parasite, that this is more like a bioweapon, because this
Yeah,
was really,
something that's
really
been
crafty how they made
genetically
that.
altered in some
Yes,
form. Yeah,
right.
definitely. Okay, now here's another one I'm going to click on. I have no idea what it is, so you have to explain it to us. Hold
All
on.
right.
Sorry, I'm slow at this. Going as fast as
No,
I
that's okay. I
can
probably won't even know what it is neither.
once it opens up.
Okay. Okay. That came from my friend. Okay, so I'm telling her about the dragons that I found in me, right? She goes,
Mm-hmm.
Dawn, I knew the moment you told me that I was going to go home and be cursed. She finds that on her drain that's going down to her kitchen sink. Okay, there's a piece
Yeah.
of food up there, and that thing is trying to get the food, and you can see its tail. It's curled so you can see the face. All right, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a little baby dragon, right? And she's like, "Holy crap, Dawn!" Like, because it looks just like the one that I pulled out of me. But
But you know what it
yeah. So
kind of looks like to me when I first looked at this? Uh, when have you ever seen one of those little conch shells, a baby one that has that little spike thing that comes out and it grabs things? Have you ever seen that? Do
no,
you know what a conch is? It's like a snail.
no,
Okay, well that thing in the square that's got that like little hand like or tube like thing that's coming out, right? To reach up there and grab a
right?
snack. That's what when I first saw that, that's what I was thinking it might be or might be related to was a type of snail because they have things that just kind of stretch out and they can get really stretchy and they're also mucusy. You know, they have lots of
Oh
mucus
wow,
around it.
right.
So that's the
And
first thing that
see, the
popped in my head
dragon's
when
head that I had was like a gel. It was like a gel. So when it dried up, the head disappeared because it was made out of gel.
yeah, and
So it's kind
and
of cool.
lots of
Yeah,
that happens with slugs and
right.
snails because there's so much
And they
moisture
use those. Yeah, they use those in the patent. So you're right, probably.
and they use them also. I found out there's tons and tons of makeup now that they use slug and snail slime in it because I started looking up some stuff for makeups and stuff on how they get certain things because remember years and years ago probably when we weren't even born or anything when they stopped using it was they got stuff from whales and they use whale blubber, right, to make like lipstick and all kinds of women's cosmetics. I don't think they're allowed to use them anymore, but they've been using animals, different stuff from different animals from the ocean to make all kinds of stuff for a very long time. So I just thought that's why that's what popped in my head. But remember I had recently gone to Florida, and I found all kinds of little sea creatures and stuff and was looking at a bunch of stuff on the beach. And that's what I thought that was. It looked like a baby conch coming out of its shell with its little spike reaching up there to get something to eat. That's what it looked like to me in this picture. So creepy. It was creepy. But okay, here's another one that says face on it. I'm gonna share this one.
That's with Richard. He's a funeral director. Okay, and he's on X, and he had
Yeah.
those pictures on his page. And when I was going through his pictures, I noticed that because I know what their face looks like because I've seen enough of them in my blood. Okay, to say
Yeah.
that what their eyes look like, their head, and all that. And I noticed this
Mhm.
face on this one that he had in the jar, and I'm like, Richard, you have one in your jar being preserved that you could pull out right now and see that it's alive. Like you guys are missing this. This is alive. And he goes, I assure you what you're looking at in your blood ain't the same as what I got in the jar. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm done talking to you. So I just let it go. But yeah, that's a head right there.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But see, look at that. That looks just like the small, skinny, small one that you had, the fibrous things that
Yes.
seem like they grow together. They start going
Yes.
and joining each other. That's what that looks like to me
Yes.
too. And I'm not a pro or anything, but it sure does look like the same thing.
It is. Yeah, and you know what it is? The faces I've got in the blood. Like I don't think I sent you a lot of them, but I have a lot of samples of them in the blood that are alive that show you their
Mhm.
face. And it's
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. Like they're missing the face for some reason. I don't know why they don't see
Well,
it when they're pulling it out.
they're probably
But
because
they don't.
they're not looking at it in the detail or looking for specific things like you've been doing. See, it's easy for you to see it
Right.
because you've been seeing so many of them. But with the more that
Right.
people are going to get to see it, the more they're going to be able to recognize what it is they're seeing. So
Right.
here's another one I want to show you.
Right.
You can tell us about. But yeah, see, this is really
Right.
good for you to get to other
Is it the
people to
one
see
of
it.
red?
It says C on it.
Right.
hmm It don't. Yeah, it
Yeah, I
looks
think
like an
Sergeant
embryo of some
uh,
sort.
Sergeant
See that?
Parasite would have done a good.
Okay, so that was in the blood. That's an egg that's floating around in the blood that had the baby inside there. And you can see how it's got a head at one end, the little
Yeah,
arms,
right
and then a little
here.
head at the other end.
And it looks like it has an eye or something starting to form, and it has arms or a leg, and then this bottom part like a leg coming out. I can see
Right.
it.
And let me tell you what the arms are for. Okay, the arms actually when they're around, they wrap around your red blood cell. Okay, so the ivermectin made them fall off. Okay, which I think the reason why they took ivermectin off is because they didn't want them to be seen as a parasite. So if they didn't have ivermectin out, then they couldn't fall off and they'd stay attached to the red blood cells. Okay, so they were attached to all the red blood cells, and then what would happen is they would come out to feed it and they would spin the red blood cell. Like I have a video of it spinning it as it's eating it. Okay, and then so people would see that the red blood cells are getting smaller and smaller every week as they going back into the doctors, right? Because they're feeding off of them. So that's what the arms are for. I was like, oh my
Do you
gosh,
think
that's what the arms are for. Since they're spinning that red
you
blood
think
cell, they're
maybe?
eating it.
Do you think that they like the red blood cells because there's iron in them?
Let me explain. Let me explain it. Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Okay, so oxidative stress is like the long COVID. If you had COVID and you still have like brain fog and weakness and fatigue and other symptoms like that, and you know that you have, what's causing that is oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is caused by the molecular function of mitochondria. And what it's causing is a imbalance in the cell where there's too much oxygen and there's an extra carbon in our body. The carbon connects with the oxygen, and that's how your body gets rid of extra carbon. Right? You know, exercise helps in a lot of things. You know, that's kind of what these herbs are doing, that and the medicines that we're coming up with. Some to treat symptoms and some to get rid of it. But until it's out of the water and everything, we're not going to be able to do that. But there is a molecular function going on that surrounds the Krebs cycle and the mitochondrial DNA's metabolism. And that's what the base is of most of this stuff. If you go look on my last space on X, the COVID research, post-COVID research 2, I posted a lot of that information in the comments on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can't do it right now, but I will later for sure. But what's interesting to me is lots of people that become anemic, right? And they get anemic, especially some friends of mine that were going through cancer treatments, and they did cancer radiation, right? And they had low iron after they did all that, okay, through the chemo. So they would be eating kale. And when I went to stay with her, I was feeding her all kinds of stuff, everything I could think of that was high in iron. But we had to make it like good leafy green vegetables and things like that, so she would be able to go to the bathroom. Because if you get a lot of iron, it's hard to go to the bathroom. You know, you get constipated. So you have to try to make a good diet to give you the iron you need so that you actually have some energy. So you want to get out of bed and go for a walk. And we walk every day, try to get her to get natural sunlight so she would help her body produce vitamin D and all those type of things. And you learn a lot of this stuff from listening to people that have been through it before, or had a relative that went through it, and they tried all these different things, you know, to see what made them feel better. Now, we didn't know whether or not it was helping her heal or get better with the chemo. All we know is that she felt better. She felt like she wasn't so pale all the time, and she had a little bit more energy. And each time that we did it for like an hour or so after we went walking, or we had a good diet and a good thing to eat, and then we went walking, she felt like she could do stuff for an hour or so before she started getting, you know, lethargic and stuff again. So, you know, all of this stuff to me, not just helping you guys or get rid of this stuff, it's also going to help other people with other diseases, just like the children with progeria. It's only, 100 people in the world with progeria that are alive at any given time, because they die of old age when they're young. But all the studies that Johnson & Johnson and some of these other companies that were working on for kids with progeria were coming up with things for people that were old, you know, for like hardening of the arteries and different things that these young kids were having with progeria. So that's why a lot of these kids with progeria were getting free treatment and trying to prolong their lives and making their lives a little better, because they would get like arthritis, and they'd have problems with their heart, high blood pressure, weakness, and their hair would fall out, all these different things. And they would do all these studies for Johnson & Johnson to help these kids, okay, based on just a few hundreds of them. But they were using the stuff they'd learned from it to make pharmaceuticals for the elderly. So, you know, we have no idea.
Was that the church was talking about?
What?
It's like almost every single symptom of COVID.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's interesting. It was progeria.
Yeah, because here's the thing: Johnson & Johnson is linked to the patent that I found on the silkworm. All right, with the
interesting.
All right, they support them. Okay, so yeah, Johnson & Johnson. I'm like, oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking about. After I was in you guys', we did that space on Monday. I've been, you know, thinking about some of the pictures that I looked at. What have I seen? Just like I said, it looked like to me, it looked like a snail, you know, a large conch shell that has this thing and it has a spike. Some conchs can kill people because they're poisonous. They have a spike that comes out and gives you a shot and kills fish and stuff, right? So I started thinking about a lot of this stuff. And it just sounds like,
Janet, you know what?
Familiar.
You might have just found something that I've been looking for. I swear, like, there's a protein that I've been looking for, and I'm gonna go look for it now and that. And I bet you, just for some reason, I know our paths were, you know, crossed for a reason. I'm sure that's gonna be that protein. Like, watch, I'll be calling you here in like 10 minutes when we're done. Watch. Yeah, I feel it already, Chris. You know,
yeah, but the thing is, how are you supposed to find anything if you have nobody to ask questions or talk to and share information to try to say, hey, you know what? I think I've seen something like that before. That's how everything is solved, isn't it? somehow like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Teamwork, I think.
Teamwork, because not one person can't do it all, because there's no way that one person knows everything or seen something that someone else has seen. You might have just been on a vacation
What? No.
and you bumped into someone, you know what I mean, and saw
Right.
something that no one else had seen, and then when someone else says something, you go, hey, what? I was on my trip and I saw something that looked just like that. See, that's how people learn and pass it on to the next person,
Right.
because they saw it with their own
Right.
eyes. They listened, and then they took in the information and shared it with someone else. So
Right.
that's why
Unlike
this
what they
kind of
did with the
stuff's important.
COVID. Right. They hide this from us. Don't tell us anything. And let's say that we were all dying. Okay.
Mhm.
We had the right to know that. Like, we had the right to spend that time with our family, make those choices, like, instead of working and, doing their jobs for them and stuff. We had that right to know. Everybody had the right to know what was really in them and what was really going on. Because then, look, we could all come together and come up with a solution. It's not just them that can come up with a solution. We can too, as innocent bystanders, or the people that don't have no history or degrees. I got a Google degree, okay, a doctorate degree. That's what I tell people. But but I know. I'm like, I got a Google doctor degree. So, but that's just, when you want to live, you get desperate and you start trying things that the normal person isn't trying. And that's I just kept mixing them until it finally worked. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to take those and I'm going to test my blood and see what happened. And it worked. And so then I told my sister, look, sis, if you want to take them, you can. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. She goes, no, give them to me. She took them and I tested her blood and she's O positive and I'm A positive and her blood was good. So I was like, okay, I said, I'm on to something, So, and then I kept giving it to other people too. But so that's how I did it. That was just how I went about it. But I'm not, I don't know. No, I don't know what to say. I keep trying. That's all.
Well,
That's all we can
the
do.
thing
But
is, just
I
like
think
you
more people need to
said,
know and more people together.
the thing is that you had something to lose, which is your own life. So you had something to risk. Why not risk it? It's either find out, see if I can fix it for myself, because no one else is going to help me. I have to do it for myself. And that's the same thing about anything out there. A person that has nothing to lose, why would they make an effort?
Yep.
See?
Right.
I love my family. I love my friends. And to me, if I can find some way to help them, live longer or feel healthier or be able to enjoy the last few years they have by being healthier and feeling better, why wouldn't I want to do that? Well, see, to me, that's how I live my life. I want every single day that I have to be the best that I can make it. And I want the same for everyone else.
And for everybody else too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I battled with selling the cure or giving away the cure. Okay, I battled with that, Janet, because my inner part of my heart saying just give it away. All right, because people's already struggled enough, and if I'm making money off of it, then I'm like another Dr. Fauci, right? Like Chris already called me Dr. Fauci.
Well, not really.
Our little fight.
If you're making it and it's really helping people, okay, most people aren't going to get mad at you that you got to pay for your house and you got to pay your bills. It's the fact that someone makes something to make people sick, and then they already have the cure for it, but instead of curing you, they just give you medicine to keep you prolonging you taking the medicine. That's the difference. One person's going to cure you, and this person's just going to drag it out. See, that's the person that's in the wrong.
Yeah. All right.
Remember,
I just so battled with it.
I don't know if you saw this, but there was a documentary out. I think it was like 7 years ago, maybe, because I'm really into watching documentaries about health, about animals, new things that they haven't ever seen before. And I watched one, and there was a man, and he was with his wife, and I think she had multiple sclerosis or something, where she was getting to where she couldn't do anything. She couldn't control her muscles and stuff. So maybe that might not be the right thing, but it was something where she couldn't control her muscles, and she would just. She couldn't walk and stuff. She was getting worse and worse. Well, he took her to someone that had said, hey, I got an experiment and it might work for her. They took her in and they started stinging her with bees. And after like 2 weeks, they started noticing that she was calming down more and more, that she wasn't she was gaining back more of her own things. See, I couldn't do that because I could die from a bee sting. But but the fact that the husband did that for his wife, and then it's worked for her. So there's lots of things like that out there because people are desperate and they're figuring things out for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a person should have the right to try to find out the best cure for themselves instead of waiting around for the government to tell you. But why would
I got to tell about the EpiPen? Okay,
I know, but yeah, but there's another thing is why would someone that has a medicine they know has a chance of saving someone pull it off the shelves unless they weren't making money off of it? Say, if I was making money off of this, then I would have been happy to give it to people. But since I can't make money off it, I don't want people to have the opportunity to get that. That's what I started noticing to me, from my point of view, when one doctor over here was saying, hey, ivermectin works, but this other doctor was saying, no, you don't give it to him. Give him, what was it, Remdesivir or something, because they own that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working.
By the way, silkworm is allergic to that.
Mm-hmm. So
tell the story about the EpiPen.
All right, so Chris wants me to tell you about the EpiPen. So
okay, well, I have never had to use one, thank goodness. But go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't have to neither, but I did. So I didn't mean to though. So I was going to do an experiment, and I've got it all recording, and I'm recording. And I'm like, okay, we're going to take the EpiPen. I'm going to extract the EpiPen juice out of there, right? The adrenaline, and I was going to put it up against the silkworm and see if it would kill it, right? Because I read some stuff and thought it was going to be a good idea. I went to go eject it, and I wouldn't be damned if the needle wasn't where my thumb is. And so when I pressed it, it ejected into me. Oh, I was like, and you can hear me screaming in the background going, oh, F, that didn't work out very well at all. I was like, oh, great. I just have the EpiPen put in me. I've had all that. So it was like in my thumb. That needle was so long and it bent. I was like, oh, the things I do to like try to prove this COVID stuff is a little bit far.
Yeah, it hit your bone.
Yeah. So I stuck myself with one.
Did it? And it gave you
my thumb bone real quick.
Adrenaline,
like,
right? Because that's what it is. It's adrenaline.
You know, I'm ADHD, so I didn't even feel it. I didn't even feel the adrenaline.
But did it help?
Because I'm ADHD, so yeah, that was. I know, right?
But did it help at all?
I got to tell you, my part of that is hilarious. I was trying to tell her how to use the EpiPen, and she told me to shut up and mind my own business and hung the phone up. And 2 minutes later, the phone rang, and she's going, "Oh my God, oh my God!"
Because you're supposed to stick it into a meaty part of your body, like your thigh, not in a bony part.
No, she put her thumb over the needle end and slammed it down. And the needle shot, she had it upside down.
But did it help though?
No.
It didn't do anything?
No, and here's the other thing. Janet, when I started researching these, I knew we were in trouble when I took a cherry seed. This is when my family got mad at me. I took a cherry seed and I crushed it because it said cyanide would kill a snake, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm going to eat some of the cyanide from this cherry seed and I'm going to see if it'll kill it. So when I told my kids what I did, now I only took one cherry seed and I only took a little bit of it, right? And it didn't do nothing to him. It just pissed him off. And so I tell my son, he goes, that's it. You've crossed the line. You cannot be putting cyanide into your body. And he's like, we're going to lock you up. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I said, son, what you need to worry about is that it didn't work. All right. I was like, it didn't help. I was like, we need to be scared. Like, he's like, you've gone across the line. I was like, okay, I will not put no more cyanide in my body. But yeah, I was going to that extreme because my granddaughter had these and she's only 3 and I had to save her. Like I love her, you know, and I can't see her being sick and dying from this. So I was trying everything in my power to make sure that she was better. Yeah. But yeah, I crossed that line. I pushed that envelope.
Well, but you were desperate at the time, but you did figure out something that works. So how much longer do you think it's going to take? Does your lawyer have any idea?
Now I sent over the agreement that I agreed on that bottle over to the lawyer, yesterday? Yeah. Okay. So once that is done, then he represents it to, So it's at that stage right there. But there's also another one that we came up with too. That's natural herbs that we're about to put out too that we can put out a lot faster, and it's more
Good.
natural, and it's not as many pills. Yeah, so hopefully that one will hit the streets and the market before the other one, and it's cheaper.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Good.
bureaucratic red tape with all of this, Janet. And
Oh, yeah.
I told
Believe
Dawn when I
me,
first met
I
her,
was in retail
I said,
for
if
a
we
little
can get
while.
it done in a year, if we could get it done in a year, it would be a miracle. It's been about 7 or 8 months now since, we started the process of going to Congress and telling them what we had and doing all that other stuff.
Yeah,
So
but are
I
you
think we're on a
worried
good time.
about them? Are you worried about who you handed this stuff over to? Or
Oh,
not?
no. Most of the
Okay.
stuff that we handed them was to get those 3 hearings back for Fauci, Hotez, and Marin's.
Mhm. Well, I'm hoping that somehow we can get the incoming administration to see what you have. And I really, in my heart, I just really do believe that they will see this and say, "Holy chip balls, this is it.
Right.
We need this."
Oh, yeah,
and
they're going to.
Gangbusters and run with this because so many people
Right.
need it.
Yes, they
So
do.
that's
And
what I'm
and
praying.
here's the thing, Janet. I've tested it on a lot of people. Okay, a lot of people. I didn't send you the video, and I should, of when I put it in the blood, what it does to the blood immediately, how it just takes all the graphene and just gone. Okay. And so, and I'm writing my research paper, and I'm about to publish that on how to remove, and then it's out. The secret's out. Okay. But as soon as I publish that paper, but I've been writing it to show everybody how to get rid of the graphene out of the blood. And then, but that's only
Where
one
are
of
you
them,
gonna
one of the
where are
herbs,
you
but,
gonna publish this at? Are you gonna publish it online? Are
I
you
have
gonna?
no clue yet. I'm almost done writing it.
Okay, because I know a lot
You
of
got some
people are,
ideas?
and Elon, he trusts Substack. So have you
that's
looked at
true.
that?
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because that's what Elon
then I'll
uses
try
for
it
a lot
there.
of his stuff, and he has Grog that's on X to ask questions and stuff while you're writing. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to help you
That's what I've
whatever
been
you
doing.
need to do it. But
right,
thank you so
yeah.
much for joining me tonight and telling me about all this great stuff.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And
Thanks for
I'm
having me.
praying for you guys. I'm praying that that it finally gets done, and you get to reap the rewards of the hard work that you've went through, and it's your family will get to have you for a long, long time. That's
The
what
reward will be when people start healing. That's
Yeah.
going to be the big reward, is when you start seeing people, stay alive longer.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. But for you to get to see all this happen, you get to see it, knowing that because you and your inspiration and your private relationship with God and your own family that inspired you to say, I got this microscope and I'm gonna start looking into this and see what I can find out. You know what I mean? Because nobody else
led me through it all. God did. I'll tell you that.
So the fact that you did it, though, that's inspirational to me, because now I'm looking at things differently. Just like I said, after I talked to you and I saw a bunch of this stuff, and I just started looking around and noticing things. I'm like,
you can
I
come
wish
over and we'll look at your blood.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to do that because I really would. Yeah, I would love to come over and let you do that.
Come over and you know what I have people doing? I have people putting their blood in between their slides of glass, and then they overnight it to me, and then we get on the phone live, and I let them see their blood.
Well, maybe I can do that.
Yeah,
I have nurses in my family, little ring.
Oh, there you go.
So maybe they'll do it for me so we can see what it looks like. I would be interested in that because I don't have a microscope.
Right?
I don't have none of that stuff.
I will not go nowhere without my microscope. I take it to the ER with me when I go in there. And they're like, what you could bring your microscope for? I'm like, because you're not putting nothing in my body without me knowing what it looks like first. So I was like, and they're like, okay. But I take it to the ER with me now. I don't go anywhere without that. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
See? I'm flying with them too.
And are they interested in seeing what you have under there too? When you go to the doctor and stuff, are they interested in seeing what you have under your microscope?
as soon as I show them the first video, they're like, no, we don't want to see anymore. They're like, oh no, what is that? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I need to know because that's what's killing all of us.
And they're in the
Like,
medical
so, yeah,
field and they're
finally a
not
doctor that
interested.
knows.
See, that's what I don't understand.
No,
They're
and
in the
that's what I
medical
said.
field and they don't want to see.
That's what I said. I said, you're not going to be able to help me. I said, you are not my doctor because if you don't want to see what's in my blood that's killing me, you're not going to be able to save me.
Mm-mm. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
a big
100%
red flag.
true.
Yeah. I don't
Well,
know
thank
what's
you
happening
guys
in this world, but it needs to
for
be
joining
changed.
me tonight. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah, thank you for having us.
I hopefully
Right.
in within a few months you guys will have answers that you've always been looking for this whole last year. And I'm praying that somebody in this administration is going to contact you guys and say, hey, we're interested. What do you have?
Right.
Yeah, we're
That's what I'm
close.
hoping.
We're right there.
Yeah, I'm down.
But yeah,
I've been
look into
reaching out to
Substack
doctors
and
and
stuff
everything.
and keep me informed on what's going on.
Okay, I will. All right.
Yeah, because I won't share
Thank you, okay?
anything. I won't share anything. And unless you come back on the show or whatever and you want to, do something. But I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh, you
And I
have my
hope you guys
permission to share whatever.
well, I know, but I feel
All right,
more
have a good
comfortable
night.
sharing it with talking a little bit about it
Oh.
is one thing, but having you there to explain what everything is, I definitely can't do that. But I just want to say thank you so much.
you.
And thank you to everybody who's hung out with us tonight because we have 40 people right now that are just
Oh, wow.
watching what we're doing. So that's great. I mean, and then
Thanks,
how many people
everybody.
come back and watch it. But I just want to say thank you to everyone, and you guys have a wonderful night, and talk to you guys later.
All right, you too. Bye.